asked AI, as an out-of-state investor, name some ways that an investor can guide their property manager how to save on turnover costs. And ChatGPT, which is AI, artificial intelligence, came back with 10 things, which, you could do the same thing, but I'm telling you, they're not exactly accurate, and I want to tell you why. And in order for you to understand where I'm coming from, I'm Monique Burns. My husband and I have been buying houses in Detroit, Michigan since 2007. We went full-time flipping houses and managing the ones we flipped from 2015 to 2020. At the end of 2020, we got out of the management and we just stuck with flipping houses full-time. And so I have experience as a property manager, and that's from the perspective that I want to give you. If you do these things that AI says, let me tell you about them. So some I agree with and some are like, I don't know. If you are interested in buying a house from us in Detroit, get on my exclusive buyers list. And we only sell like 1 or 2 a month. Right now, we are only selling to cash investors. Number one, it said review the charges. Okay, I would go back. When I am giving an investor a phone number of a potential property manager they should use, I always am telling them, ask for a referral, and when you get the referral, ask them how the turnover went, because you do not know how good a property manager is until you've been through a turnover. And when you ask how the turnover went, I would also ask for the invoice from the turnover and see if you agree with how they're billing. Property managers have to make money. That's fair. This is where they make a majority of their money. That 10% or 12% a month of property management fee that you're paying is not enough. They do end up making the most money through the turnovers and through the regular maintenance. So you need to know that. But let's say you're already in it with them. It's too late. You didn't do that. Review the charges. When you get a turnover bill, look at that. I heard one person say that the carpet charge that her property manager was charging was so high, she called Home Depot and was like, how is this? And they said, that is what we would charge for the most expensive carpet for your entire house, when she gave them the measurements. So they're like, something's fishy, because this bill was only for one room. So you got to kind of do stuff like that. Hey, are you enjoying all this? If you are, it's really helpful to me if you subscribe, like, share, all that stuff. And when you like my videos, it really, truly means a lot to me. You would be, well, I have to admit, I do check. You're not supposed to check for that kind of thing. I do check, and it means so much to me when I get likes and subscribes. Thank you. Number 2, I don't like this one. It's get multiple quotes. This is what everybody says to do. When I was a full-time property manager, we had our own contractors that did things, and the reason that we used them is because they gave us the best prices. We trusted each other. It went great. If you were an owner and you said, I want multiple quotes, I'd be like, this person's already the best price. And if you insisted on it, I would tell you to go somewhere else. So you got to be careful with that. Instead, just kind of do your own research on the side without telling your property manager that you don't trust them. You should trust your property manager. Number 3, I don't like this one either. Negotiate fees. All the fees should be listed in your property management agreement, except, it's hard to know with a turnover what all those fees are. And you usually don't even know until they're done and they give you the bill or take it out of the rents that came in that month if you have multiple properties. If somebody had come to me when I submitted my bill and said, well, I want to negotiate this price, I would have said, you're already getting the best price out there, because that was actually true when we were a property manager. And you can go somewhere else. Probably could. You're going to have to feel it out with your own property manager, but it might not go so well with you for you. Number 4, I like this one. Consider DIY or partial DIY, do it yourself. So I do highly recommend people do things themselves. Actually, I made an entire online course teaching people to manage the whole thing themselves and hire your own contractor to do your turnover, because then you have full control from day one of what everything costs. If you're interested in my course, you can schedule a call with me on Calendly, or go to the link below and get on my mailing list for it, and you'll find out more details about that. Number 5, this one was interesting. Standardize turnover procedures. You might want to ask, what is their procedure, and see what you think of it. See if you think it sounds time efficient and financially efficient for you, or if it's just great for them. And I would like to kind of get a time frame and mark out my calendar. I knew she was going to do this. I would just mark out my calendar, like they said by this time they're going to do this, and just follow up, because sometimes following up with people reminds them that maybe they dropped the ball, which is human, that can happen. Okay, so then that goes into the next number 6, minimize turnover time. Well, duh, you want to minimize the turnover time. This is something that I am a big believer in. When I sell my houses, I'm moving the tenant in, like right around the time of the sale, I'm moving in the tenant. I'm getting move-in photos as well as listing photos. So when that tenant I just placed goes to move, I give that owner or the new property manager all my listing photos, so they're not wasting time waiting to renovate the house to be able to list it again. My timing is when the guys are just right at the very end and they're doing the paint. That's when I get it listed, and I ask them, do you mind opening the door? I've got somebody coming. They don't love it when I do that. And not everybody can do that. That's something that I do to minimize the time. And then this says screening tenants efficiently. I don't know how you're going to make your property manager do anything differently with screening tenants. That just is what it is. Completing necessary repairs promptly. Well, that's everyone's goal, right? This next one, number 7, is longer leases. From my understanding, in Michigan, the way the law works, it's harder to evict a tenant when they're within their first year or when they're within their lease than it is when they are month to month. Absolutely consult with your attorney about that, but that's what I understand. So you got to look at the pros and cons of longer leases wherever you are. I just like the ability to have control over that, because I kind of feel like tenants move whenever they move anyway. But I'm also dealing with Detroit. I'm not so much in the suburbs, and where people care more about their records and their credit scores than they do maybe in the city. So that's something just to discuss with your property manager. But regular maintenance is like, it's kind of easy. They'll call for maintenance. Don't deny a tenant maintenance, just like basically don't be a slumlord. It's not going to cost you as much during the turnover. And then number 9, screen tenants thoroughly. This is like preemptive to not so many turnovers. If you have a well-screened tenant, like in Detroit, one of my favorite things to do is to find a tenant who is living near family. And it's hard to control that, but if they tell me that on the phone, I rank them up way high as far as who's the best candidate, because if they live near family, they're going to be there a long time from my experience. So you might want to go over it with your property manager. What exactly is your screening criteria? How do you screen them? And I have to say, I always found it interesting. When I had a property management company, none of the owners ever asked to review my screening, and I'm grateful for that, because on paper, not everyone looks that great. If they were that great, they would go get a mortgage, right? The other thing, though, I can back it up and I can explain it. Sometimes it's hard to explain it to somebody who hasn't been there, done that, The other thing is, when I had a staff and I would screen my staff's screening, I was mortified at some of the things they thought was okay. And I'd be like, why'd you even give me this person? You got to be kidding. I see this, this, and this. And it's because they get paid anyway. It wouldn't hurt to ask maybe, but you might really rub your property manager the wrong way, because you're going at it being like, oh, I don't trust you, or I don't know that you're supervising your person. You could ask to review the screening. I don't know. Number 10, evaluate property manager performance. So obviously, if there's a lot of red flags, that's how you evaluate them. If they can't give you backup invoices, that's an evaluation. If you say, hey, why isn't my house filled yet? And they've got all kinds of excuses. You evaluate them by going online and hiring somebody to drive by and take a picture for you, so you actually know what's going on. That's the way that you evaluate them. You evaluate them during the time that the house is vacant, to get your own person to go look and see, did they really cut the grass? Because they sure charged for it. Stuff like that. You have to be proactive. You have to advocate for yourself in a quiet, respectful way. I know that's what I would be doing if I had a property manager. I would have my little secret person going to check what I could, because I know what it's like. We get busy. Things happen. Things fall through the cracks. It could be an honest mistake, or it could be carelessness. I don't know. But those are the 10 things that I had to say. I so appreciate you watching my video, and I'll see you next time.